Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to Boyz and The Word, Session 4. Session Quattro, if you want to speak some Portuguese.
4, if you're into that whole thing.
I am.
It's session number 4, ladies and gentlemen, and it is entitled Funny Guy, because we have a very special guest with us this evening, the one and only Gloucester comedian, Mr. Rob Leonard.
Woo.
Woo. Welcome, Rob. Good to have you here today. How are you?
Cheers, man. Cheers. I'm doing very well. I'm my day job, I teach at the college, and this is half term, so I haven't done a lot today. So it's nice to do something productive, and I've never done a podcast before, so pop my cherry.
We're going to pop it, don't worry. We'll
That's
be
what
gentle.
we do. We love to pop cherries.
Thank you.
Nothing too rough for you. But you are on our podcast, so, you know, it's probably the worst one to start off with. But welcome, anyway, to the Boyz and the Wood, man.
Thank you very much. And that laugh was really quite sinister, Flynn, so...
you are welcome.
He's a very sinister person.
Should I be scared?
I think you should be.
Yeah.
People don't really know what's going on when they come on here. To be honest, we don't know what's going on, so...
Don't have a clue.
We don't have a clue. This is the least prepared podcast you're ever going to be experiencing. If anybody has listened to any of ours before, or if you've listened to any of ours before, Rob, you've probably experienced this.
There was a lot of wrestling content, and as I'm not into wrestling, I was kind of thinking, what the hell are they going to ask me?
Well, we are trying to open it up to a lot of different audiences, hence why having yourself, the comedian, on.
Excellent.
The man himself. But what we like to do first, Rob, before we start any podcast, is consult the Magic 8 Ball.
Excellent.
And find out if you're going to actually have a good time on the podcast this evening.
Ooh.
So if you give it a little shimmy shake.
It's like Mystic Meg all over again.
Exactly.
Mr.
I was consulting my Mystic Flynn. I like that. Oh God, I can't get it to go up.
It's not the first time that's happened.
No, it's not. Yeah. It says, indications say yes. So you're going to have a good time with us this evening.
Excellent.
Or this afternoon, depending on when you're listening to it. So Rob, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for making this your first podcast as well. That's a great thing.
It is a great thing.
But what we want to know, Rob, is a little bit about you. So tell us about the man himself.
The man himself, Rob Leonard. So what do you want to know? So, gosh, I'm 51. I know, I don't look it.
You don't. Not at all.
Thank you. You're very kind.
Okay.
I like a fine wine. So yeah, I was a civil servant for 20 years, and that was really boring. So I quit, and I went to college, and I did a performing arts diploma with Flynn, funnily enough. And the stories we could tell, eh?
Stories we could tell.
But it turns out performing arts doesn't pay a lot, so I also trained as a counsellor. So I volunteer as a counsellor for a local mental health charity, but to pay the bills, I teach at the college. I teach counselling at the college as well. So I started out at Gloucester as a student 10 years ago, and I tried to leave. They just kept pulling me back in. So
that Gloucester college.
I am
Godfather.
Absolutely, but now I'm paid to be there. Whereas when I was there with Flynn, I had to pay to be there with him. So it was a special time.
That's all swings and roundabouts.
And why you paid to be anywhere near me is another question as well, I think.
Hey, just get away from you.
You tried to run away, but I found him. He doesn't run very fast. He was always the oldest person.
I was the oldest person in that class by some distance.
I think that made you a valued member of the course, though, that we was on at the time, because everybody always enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you.
And
I think. Sorry, carry on, mate.
No, you go.
All right. You know, I am the guest. Come on.
You are the guest.
your listeners get to hear you every week, mate.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think some of the people in our class saw me as a kind of like a dad figure or an older brother, but I think some of them saw me as some kind of dirty old pervert. So, it was a broad mix.
It's a combination of all three, right?
I definitely saw you as a dirty pervert. The way you used to watch me do lines.
It was those mixed changing rooms, wasn't it?
But how did you get into like this creative field then? Because obviously you started college doing performing arts at quite a later age.
Thanks.
Not in a bad way. I myself have just started uni, where most people have done that.
You're a mature student.
I'm a mature student. Like the roles have reversed. I'm waiting to lose my hair, Rob.
It'll come.
It'll come. But how did you get into what made you want to do like performing arts?
I think what it was, when I first moved to Gloucester about 14, 15 years ago, I was out of work for a while because I was made redundant from my civil service job, and I was kind of kicking around trying to think of something to do. So I joined a local Amdram group. I think you know which one, Flynn. We won't name them. And and I kind of got a bug for acting, and I got a bug for comic acting. So I thought I'll do this performing arts diploma, and then I joined a comedy sketch group in Cheltenham called Knowing Smirk. We had, when did that start? That was 2014. That came to an end. At 2017, we did 2 shows at the Edinburgh Fringe, and did some other bits and pieces at comedy festivals. Absolutely love writing and performing sketch comedy. And then, like all creative groups, we fell out over creative differences, and we all went solo. So it's a bit like the music industry, really. And so then I thought, I'm just going to do some stand-up, because the great thing about doing stand-up is it's really easy to organise rehearsals when there's only one of you. And when I write some jokes, I don't have like 5 other people telling me, we don't get that joke, we're not going to use it. So now I can say whatever jokes I like in front of an audience, and when no one laughs, then I know it was a crap joke. So I'm kind of editing while I'm performing.
I think that's the key, isn't it? You've got to listen to those reactions and know what is and what isn't working and what people are feeding off more from you. So how did you get into the improv group then? So Knowing Smirk, obviously now it's essentially defunct, I guess.
It is essentially
everybody
defunct.
has.
We haven't officially ended it, but
until tonight. This is the news. This is the news right here.
Bombshell on this podcast.
This is where careers come to die.
That's right. That's right. So, there's every chance they could be listening, I'm sure. Especially when I link it to their Facebook account. They, as I said, we've all gone our separate ways. What was the question, Flynn? Sorry.
So how did you get? Sorry, it's all right.
It's my memory at my age.
How did you get into the improv? Like, what led you to the improv? Obviously, you got into the comedy. You enjoyed doing the comedy, but what led you down that route of improv?
I think it was the thrill of being on stage without a script and taking a suggestion from the audience and just going for it and not being scared of failure. And one of the things that is actually good about getting older is you worry less about how you're going to appear to an audience, and you're just much more about, I'm going to have some fun. If it doesn't work, that's okay. But the great thing about improv is the audience just love you having a go. It doesn't necessarily have to work, and sometimes it's funnier when it doesn't work. So you can't lose, really.
Yeah,
a win-win.
And I know we did touch on a little bit of improv when we was at college as well.
Yeah,
and we did do our little thing, didn't we? Because we was all quite hot on Whose Lines Is It Anyway at the time.
That's right. Yeah.
So we tried our hand at that.
We tried. Actually, I
tried.
We tried. We auditioned for the talent show, and we didn't get in. So we decided to host it instead, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We were like, "Sorry, we're going to be in it anyway."
We did. But I think I did that twice. I didn't get onto the talent show. I was like, "Fuck it, I'm hosting it." I hosted one as Dean. I think one as Dean Martin. Then we just did it as ourselves the second time round. I think, didn't we? Because you was my Frank Sinatra the one time.
We did Me and My Shadow, and the second time around, the music failed, so we had to do it a cappella.
We recovered quite well on that. I think that was our best improv stuff.
Yeah. I'm not saying we were singing the same tune at the same time, but we gave it a go.
Give it a go, and people seemed to lap it up at the time. Well, it seemed like it.
They were either laughing with us or at us. I wasn't sure.
And how did you then go? So obviously, as you said, you got into stand-up following the end of knowing Smirk.
Yeah.
How did you get into stand-up? Like, what kind of avenues or routes did you have to take to get there?
So I started going to comedy shows as a punter to see stand-up, because I've always enjoyed stand-up anyway. And one show I went to, there was a promoter there who ran stand-up workshops. So I went to one of his stand-up workshops, and he was very encouraging, very supportive, lots of great advice. And I'll name him, actually, because I owe a great debt of gratitude to him, James Crawley. He gave me a lot of confidence. He put me in the next show that he was running in Cheltenham, and I wasn't booed off stage. And
a good start.
Kind of went from there, really. And the 10-minute set I did on that opening night, gosh, when was that? That was April 2019. I was using that same 10-minute set for about a year, just making sure I didn't go back to the same place. But what was great is every time I did it, I was editing it and honing it and dropping the bits that didn't get a laugh and putting in new bits. And by the time I did it a year later, it was absolutely perfect. But unfortunately, all the references are out of date now. So I've had
now all the jokes have got to be about COVID.
Oh my God! Yeah, trying to do comedy now, it's like COVID, lockdown, Zoom. You know, just could we make jokes about holidays again and hugging people and pubs? No, not yet.
No,
too
never
soon.
Again. Never again. And so your first gig was in Cheltenham.
Mm.
And what was the? Did it have a name? Where was it? Where can people check it out once we can check it out again?
So that first gig was at the Sober Parrot, which is a dry pub in Cheltenham. So all non-alcoholic. So the audience were 100% sober when I did my first show.
That's tough.
And they still laughed. So that's good.
That is good.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm currently doing regular slots with Jolters. I think, Flynn, you came to the very first Jolters Barrel of Laughs comedy in Mitchell Dean.
I did, right here in the Forest of Dean.
Yes, I remember you being in the front row.
I did. It was the only seat available.
Ooh,
So I was literally right up front, and every picture at the time I had my big hair, and it was just like this massive fat afro just sat at the front, just blocking out all the comedians.
But here's what's great, Flynn. I've got a video of that gig, and every time you laugh, your big afro head shakes. So it's almost like a barometer of laughter. So it's a great sort of case study of what material worked and what didn't. I've studied your hair in that video over and over, mate, just kind of working out what was funny or not by how much your afro was shaking.
It sounds like jealousy at this point. He's like, you son of a bitch with this fucking hair.
I could have picked on you that night, but I didn't.
I know. Do you know what? I'm surprised. I think maybe I had one person comment on me. I can't remember what they called me now. I can't remember what it was.
Was that Sam?
It might have been. I can't remember who it was now. But that was a really, really good night. I do recommend to anybody that's in the Forest and maybe listening to this to go check out Jolters when it's back. It's a great little kind of I'm trying to think of the word now. What is the word? Intimate little setting.
Yes.
in there, and it's got some really great comedians, and there's Rob as well. Rob was fantastic, and it was good to see, because you could tell that you were still starting out and you were still figuring things out, but the content was so good still, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I was looking forward to Rob the most that night because I'd come to see him specifically. But the entire night was absolutely solid, like the whole thing. So I do recommend it, everybody go. And the time, it was a free gig as well. It was like a free show. It was donate to keep going.
Yeah. How much did you put in the bucket, actually, Flynn?
I honestly don't remember.
That means nothing.
I can't remember what I did yesterday. I've forgotten everything from the past life where I could go see people. I think I put a note in. I'm pretty sure I put
a note that says "I owe you,"
and then I took change. So I took about £5 change out.
From a £5 note.
When you say you put a note in, was it like a handwritten note saying "get better jokes" or something?
I owe you.
Oh yeah, I owe you.
What was the last gig that you did before the whole world went to shit?
Oh man, the last gig I did was it wasn't in Gloucester. Funnily enough, it was in Cheltenham at Smoky Joe's, which is a fantastic venue in Cheltenham. The front part of Smoky Joe's, I don't know if you know it, the front part of Smoky Joe's is like a 50s diner, and the back part is like an 80s amusement arcade. It sounds crazy.
That sounds awesome.
It is awesome. And the gig was the same night as the final night of the Cheltenham Horse Racing Festival. So Cheltenham was full of drunk Irishmen. And that's a hell of a crowd to work with, let me tell you.
How did you get on that night?
I really loved it, because basically you could just say anything and they would laugh. Or they would ignore you.
Or they'd ignore you.
Yeah.
You didn't get bottled or anything then? It wasn't one of them events?
No, I was more worried about catching COVID, to be honest.
Of course. That was literally just as it started to really kind of sink in as well.
It was the week before we locked down, so that was a bit weird to think that, that feels like a million years ago now, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does seem like a million years ago. It's very depressing. Thanks for that, Rob.
That's all right. I do like to bring the humour.
You bring that humour, man.
But as I said, I'm also a counsellor, so if you have been affected by any of the issues that we've raised tonight, then you can talk to me about it. I have available appointments.
I have slots ready for you.
I'm pitching for business now.
Pitching for business. This is what this has turned into. This is like a local newspaper. This podcast.
Do you have a big listening audience that I can pitch to?
We have a listener.
And he probably needs some counselling.
He probably needs watching this. Or listening.
That's not a bad idea. I could start my own psychotherapy podcast.
I recommend doing it.
Oh, come on.
I'd be like Frasier.
I'd be like Frasier.
Oh my
awesome.
God.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
You need a Niles and an old man in a chair, though.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah,
I could do both of them. Could be a worrying, grumpy old man in a chair. It's pretty much what I do now.
That's what's in your future, man.
It is my future.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll even make it to that. By the time I would be 60, I'll be long dead.
Wow, that magic 8 ball's really precise, isn't it?
It really is. What's my outlook for the future? Just said bleak. And what's your favourite place to have a gig in? Like, what's your favourite place to do the stand up?
Gosh, I did the one night at Jolters before lockdown. I really enjoyed that night. As you said, everyone was absolute top form that night, and the audience was fantastic. I think, gosh, my favourite place, funny enough, Dick Whittington pub in Gloucester. It's really kind of rough and ready. It normally has bands on, and it just kind of feels right for comedy. It's a downstairs venue. It's a little bit dingy, but it's kind of nice and rough and ready.
And I think it's surprising as well how many venues actually do stand-up comedy around the Gloucestershire area. I never realised until you started posting, I'm doing it here, I'm doing it there. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And I was like, after watching you at Jolters, I was like, I'm going to have to come along and watch him a lot more now, because I really did enjoy that. I hadn't watched stand-up comedy in a long time, and then COVID hit. So it just kind of scarpered those plans.
Those two events hopefully were unconnected. You went to comedy, global pandemic.
I'm starting to feel like I am the problem, because I was just about to say, I just about to start wrestling again, and then COVID hit. It's two different things. I feel like I'm the key.
Patient zero.
Someone's got to take me out.
What, on a date or with a gun?
Both. I'd like to be wined and dined before I'm shot.
We can arrange that.
And we can arrange that. We're in the forest. Anything's possible.
That's for sure.
And what's the worst gig you've ever done?
Oh man, the worst gig I've ever done was the second gig. The first gig went so well, I was really cocky and arrogant, and I did the second gig, and it was in Bristol. And if you do stand up in Bristol, you know, I hope no one from Bristol is listening to this. And odds are they're not.
Well, they're a bunch of wankers anyway, so don't worry about it.
Absolutely. Tough place to do stand up in Bristol. I did one gig where I talked about the health issues of 50-year-olds to an audience who were all about 20, and they stared at me bemused for 10 minutes because they could not relate.
Just stand there silent, staring back at them.
Yeah, they were just staring at me like a dog that's been showed a card trick. But gosh, no, the worst gig I did was my second gig in Bristol, and it was basically the only people who turned up for this gig on a Monday night was a bunch of other comedians trying out new material, and I stood at the front and told my first big guaranteed laugh joke. Dead silence. I had all these comedians staring at me, willing me not to be funny, and I obliged. And I forgot the end of a joke halfway through telling it, and I mumbled my final punchline into thin air and then tripped over the mic cable on my way back to my chair. So
oh God.
On the plus side, they'll always remember me, so that's a bonus.
It literally just started rolling downhill from the get-go. Then after your first guaranteed laugh, just kind of just not hitting the mark.
Absolutely.
Man.
But hey,
it's one of those things as well, isn't it? You feel it at that point. You know.
I was crushed.
Yeah.
I think it was. But carry on.
I think it's gone a lot higher and a lot better since then, because I saw you and it was all great material. Everybody loved it.
Thank you.
So I think it's one of those, but you've got. I think it's almost like a rite of passage, isn't it, with comedians?
Oh, absolutely. You have to go through your. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, swear all you want. Yeah.
I think you do have to go through your. Oh, okay. I won't say cunt.
God damn it, Rob!
Fuck! I said cunt. Shit. My mind's gone blank again. This happens a lot at my age. Your mind goes blank. Yes, I think as a comedian, you have to go through that one shit gig to kind of get over yourself.
Yeah.
And once you realise that it's telling a joke, and if people don't laugh, it's not the end of the world. And to be honest, if people don't laugh, you make a joke about them not laughing. And that's where that kind of improv experience comes in. So
yeah,
I just go with it, mate.
I think you've obviously set yourself up to be able to work with those kind of difficult moments with the stand-up.
Yes.
Through the improv. But what is your worst heckle that you've had Did it come from that gig, or was it somewhere else?
Oh man, I think the worst, and it wasn't a heckle, it was someone guessing the punchline to a joke and saying it before I had a chance to say it, and basically destroying my entire story that I had spent 10 minutes setting up. But that was probably the worst thing, because the person who shouted out the answer got the big laugh and I got nothing. So yeah, if I ever find that person, I'm probably gonna.
Do you want to call them out on this podcast, just in case they ever do pick it up?
No, because I currently gig with that person, so I won't.
Oh, so now they're a comedian.
Yes.
So it was sabotage.
Oh, what a bitch! I'm sorry.
I know. They were stood at the back of the room and they guessed my punchline and thought they were helping me out by shouting out something they thought was relevant and appropriate and funny, not realizing that was my actual punchline that I was going for. So, but hey, I'll get my revenge. Don't worry.
One day you will crush her with
cold.
Just walk up on stage, take the mic out of her hand, and do a entire set for her.
Yes.
Really to her.
Just nick the script and just like do all the punchlines about 3 seconds before she says them.
What is your favourite joke?
Oh my gosh. Tell
me a joke, fun man.
One of my all-time favourite jokes is it's a Rick Mail joke, and you've probably heard it. He says, "Why did the pervert cross the road? Because he couldn't get his knob out of the chicken." And it's one of my favourite jokes because you have to know the joke that it's referencing to get the joke. So I think it's a really clever one. But that's my tribute to Rick Mail, who of course was a brilliant and sadly missed comedian.
Yes. And what comedian? Well, so you've just mentioned Rick Mail there.
Yeah.
What other comedians have inspired you through your comedic career?
This is where I show how old I am. Bill Hicks is someone who I admire and could never ever approach in terms of what he did in terms of quality and satire and just rage on stage. I'm just too calm to be enraged on stage. But you know, as I get older, who knows? I love, and this is not a popular choice, Frank Skinner. I've saw Frank Skinner a number of times, and his ability to improvise with an audience is astonishing, and has kind of inspired me in that respect. And some of the newer comedians, Tom Stade, Angela Barnes. God, there's so many. One of the lovely things about going to the Edinburgh Fringe to do a show is that you have a lot of time to go and see other shows. And you get to really discover some comedians who should be famous and who aren't.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously there's comedians like me who aren't famous and shouldn't be. But you know, that's the rub of the green.
And what have you what have you been doing during lockdown with your comedy? So is there anywhere people can still check you out on what you're doing during lockdown?
So I've been doing a regular gig. We've already talked about Jolters, Mitchell Dean's finest cider and Perry press. They're doing Jolters online every month over Zoom, and as soon as I'm finished here, I am appearing on the bill there a bit later tonight to do a few minutes comedy. So that's been going every month over Zoom. So it's great to have a regular gig to write for, and it forces me to write new material. Performing over Zoom is challenging because your audience is lots of little squares, and sometimes you can see them are laughing, and sometimes you see them getting up and going to make a cup of tea, and you don't really know how to read that. The worst thing is when they don't switch off their mic, because they have their mics on so you can hear them laughing, but they get bored and start talking or listening to the television or something, and it's like, am I doing a double act now? Come on, guys.
The worst is when
I
you
can't
think they're
believe
laughing,
Sharon
but then
did that on
they're just watching
EastEnders.
TV.
Yeah. Yeah. They're watching Zoom and TV at the same time. Thinking, which one's more interesting? Turns out EastEnders.
It's when you hear him go, "Oh God, here comes Rob again. It's piss break time."
Yeah, when half the little pictures on Zoom, they all get up to go as soon as you appear.
All you just see is the empty back of a chair.
If you're lucky. Sometimes they're watching on their phones and they take their phone with them to the bathroom, and that's really not what you want to see when you're doing comedy.
That's disgusting.
You just see the strain on their face, like the veins popping out their foreheads as they're squeezing one out.
Starts dropping off their forehead.
The beads of sweat.
Oh, I shouldn't have had that curry.
Oh, man.
Oh, Mexican food and comedy is not a good mix.
Thanks.
Now,
I'm going to
Rob,
write that one down. I'm going to use that later. Thank you.
Take it all, man. You can use all this material. It's all free.
I'll credit you.
That one was Flynn's.
And I like to go through a few random questions with people as well. That's maybe not so much specifically to their field. So, first of all, Rob.
Yeah.
What's your favourite band?
Oh, you know this. It's Green Day.
How many times have you seen them live?
I have seen Green Day live 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I've seen the Green Day musical 6 times. Once in New York, twice in London, twice in Cardiff, and once in Cheltenham. So, descending order of importance there. Started off on Broadway in New York, and then it was like the Everyman at Cheltenham.
Was it the same people that did it in Cheltenham, or was it like more of an independent company that did it?
It was independent UK. The show on Broadway had Billy Joe Armstrong playing one of the characters.
Oh, really?
He didn't do that in Cheltenham. I'm sorry to disappoint, but
too big for Cheltenham.
He didn't turn up. Yeah.
And how was it? How was the one in Cheltenham in comparison to the one in New York?
Well, the one in Cheltenham had an interval, so at least I could go to the loo. That's probably about the only thing that Cheltenham one had over the New York one. But yeah, it's a great musical. You already know the songs before you turn up, and it's just a great show to watch. But yeah, the one on Broadway did not have an interval, and me and Sam had been drinking beer all day, and by the time it got to the last song, we were like, "Can you hurry up, please, because we're busting." And you don't like to be shushed by Billy Joe Armstrong in the middle of a Green Day musical.
When he starts making eye contact with you and just probably shunning you out to the crowd.
Yeah. Can you Brits just pipe down? It's like, no, we need the bathroom, as they call it there. Bathroom. Funny enough, I bought a T-shirt at the gig on Broadway, and what am I trying to say? The T-shirt had a print on the back as well at the front. And when I asked the guy on the merchandise stand for the T-shirt, he held up the T-shirt and turned it around to show me the back. And when I paid him, I showed him the back of the money, and he absolutely pissed himself. He said, "There's the back of the shirt," and I went, "There's the back of the money." And this is New York, the cultural center of comedy in the United States, and they laughed at that. I thought, man, I'm living in the wrong country.
What's your favorite song of Green Day's?
Oh gosh, it's difficult to pick one. I think again, it's not a controversial choice. Good Riddance, Time of Your Life. Is probably one of my favourite tracks, and probably Give Me Novocaine. 2 slowies there, but I like them. I've actually asked for Good Riddance to be played at my funeral, so
got to make those plans, Rob. You're getting up there.
I know. This is when you know you're getting old, when you start making funeral plans.
Do you know what wood finish you're going to have yet?
What would finish? I think it's going to be MDF, to be fair.
MDF. Put together by the Amdram group.
That's right, yes. It's going to be made of scenery flats. Bob and his drill.
And my next question for you, Rob. What 3 things would you take with you if you were to be deserted on a desert island?
Deserted on a desert island. Wow. Number 1, my coffee machine. Because I have an awesome coffee machine. And if I couldn't have coffee, there's no point living, is there?
No, there is not. Thank you, Oracle. Thank you.
You'll probably remember, Flynn, when we were at college, no one spoke to me before I had my coffee in the morning. They used to whisper, no, don't talk to him yet. He's not had his coffee.
It was the day you snapped at the teacher and then got asked to leave.
Yes.
Like one of the kids, I think there's already somebody sent out that morning, and you said something, and she looked at you, and you just went, "Shall I leave?" That was one of the best things I've ever seen. And then she come out and had a chat with you.
Yes. At college, you weren't supposed to bring hot beverages into the classroom, and I came in with my cup of coffee, and the teacher said, "You're not supposed to drink that in here." And I think I said, "I don't care." He said, "Could you leave, please?" And I just left. And then I had to have a little chat afterwards. And to be fair, I did apologise for being a dick that day. But I was a dick most days at college, so
sort of got us through, to be honest, I think.
Yeah.
And I remember the one day you did have like a massive rant, and it was like a whole like theatrical piece. The way you delivered it, he was like walking across the set and everything with it all. It's like a Shakespearean speech. I can't remember what it was he said, because we was all like, "What the hell's he doing?" And then it's just like, "Oh, Rob's pissed off."
I'd forgotten about that.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
It was 2 years worth of frustration just built up. And I just wanted to tell you, damn kids, exactly what I thought of you. Anyway, I was supposed to be talking about my 3 things on a desert island. This is your show.
What we do, we tangent.
Pivot.
Pivot.
So, coffee machine. What would be the other 2 things? Something I could get Netflix on, probably. That will probably be my second thing. Third thing, a chair. I need to sit down a lot now. So maybe like a sort of folding up chair, something like that. Deck chair, maybe. Maybe one with a little sort of pocket in the arm that you could put a beer in, like that. And I could put my coffee in there, maybe, and watch a bit of Netflix. I'm sorted.
So to be honest, your living room.
What I've just described is me during lockdown. What is going on here? Let us out, Boris. Come on.
And my next question for you, Rob. Weirdest place you've banged?
I'm sorry, what?
Weirdest place you've ever banged?
Are we talking about sexual intercourse?
Knocked boots, bumped uglies.
Ooh, okay. That's a rather personal question. So, gosh, you put me on the spot here, which is, I think, is what she said, actually. I had trouble finding the spot, to be honest. So, gosh, this is scary. There's probably about 4, and I'm trying to think of which is the weirdest one. Okay, this is probably the weirdest one. So you're gonna have to. It wasn't full sex, but it was
just the tip.
Okay, brace yourself. It was in a cinema during Spider-Man 3.
So this is 2007.
You can put a date on this, can't you?
So you was the Venom to her Spider-Man.
She certainly. I wasn't hanging upside down or anything, you know. But we were in the back row. It was a long film. we got bored, and we managed to do some stuff in the darkness.
It's the draw for this film as well. Like, how many people were in there? Put the popcorn on the neighbour's lap. Just said, "Hold that for a minute, would you?"
It's amazing what you can do with a tub of popcorn. Salty. Anyway.
Oh no.
Sorry. You've kindly invited me on your podcast, and I've just brought it right down, haven't I? I'm sorry.
It makes a change because usually it's me. So
that would make a change, yes.
To be fair, I instigated this tone being brought down with that question.
Yeah, but I followed you, mate.
You followed me down that rabbit.
I think the other weird place, the top of Avon Street car park in Bath.
Just slung the condom behind you on someone's windshield.
To be fair, it was a busy Saturday afternoon. There was a lot of family shopping, so we had to be discreet. Oh, no. I've just remembered. Broad Street car park in Bath. There was a lot of car park sex in Bath. And
doesn't even have a car.
Absolutely. You're trying to save on parking fees here. They'll stick a sticker on anything. Now, so we were in a car, assuming we had some privacy, in Broad Street car park in Bath, which is overlooked by a block of flats. What we didn't know was that we were being filmed, and as we went to leave the car park, my lady friend received a Bluetooth request on her phone wanting to send her a video clip.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so we clearly had been observed.
There's a keeper.
She never showed me that video clip, so I don't know whether that's a good thing or bad thing, but that was weird.
And what is the worst thing you've ever done?
Ooh. Signed up for a performing arts course at Gloucester. No, I'm joking. The worst thing I've ever done, what that I could admit on a live podcast, not a live podcast, that you can edit out of a podcast. Worst
incriminate. Let's keep the murder to a minimum.
Okay. Top 3 off my list then. The worst thing I've done. Gosh. To be honest, what's happening in my brain at the moment is I'm editing out all the things I don't want to admit to, and then all the things that Flynn knows I've done because he was there, and what's left that's actually worth sharing. Gosh, I'm struggling now. Gosh. Oh. Let me take you back to my teenage years. I was a big fan of the Beastie Boys, and as you know, one member of the Beastie Boys used to wear a Volkswagen symbol dangling around his neck. And because I was a paper boy, out early in the morning, I had access to a lot of Volkswagens, and I took a screwdriver with me and hoiked off a Volkswagen bag, this beautiful Passat, and stuck it on a chain around my neck, which kind of, if you're going to commit vandalism, don't wear the evidence around your neck whilst you're doing the paper round. Because when you go up to the door for your Christmas tip, you ain't going to get one, are you?
No, I'm done, Rob. No, I'm done. Worst thing ever did that.
There wasn't, but that's the only thing I'm admitting to.
Well, that's grand.
You're
Oh, what's the favourite sweet from a childhood?
Oh gosh, that's easy. Cola cubes.
Oh, solid choice.
Thank you. I used to go into the local sweet shop on my way home from school and get a quarter. That's right, a quarter of cola cubes for 16 pence.
Don't get a key.
You don't get a key.
A key, like a key of cola cubes, like a key of cocaine.
No, that's They're not Coke cubes, Flynn. They're
I
want to crush your muffin. Were you there on my stag night?
Whoops. And what's your worst sexual encounter?
What, apart from being Bluetooth the video?
Yeah. Unless that was it. Unless we've already.
No, I've got one more. So let's just say a lot of things happened in Bath.
It seems like a lovely town.
No, it's a sort of cultural centre that I really brought down with my presence. They asked me to leave eventually and moved to Gloucester. By contrast, Gloucester welcomed me with open arms. So there we go.
Yeah, they would do.
Go on in, Mark Shagger.
So in one of the many beautiful parks in Bath, I was taking a shortcut home with a young lady, and we decided to stop in the park. It was a beautiful warm summer's evening to partake of some alfresco activity, and there was a beautiful grass bank that I laid her gently down on, and started proceeding. I'm trying to be very careful here. We started proceedings. Unfortunately, because it was a grass bank with a slope, I kept sliding down. And I was trying to get purchase with my feet so that I could be moving in the right direction, but gravity was pulling me in the wrong direction. So it took forever. But she was happy because normally it didn't take forever. So it was a bit of a treat for her, to be honest.
Special treat that was.
Yeah.
And lastly, my random questions, Rob. What is the secret to a successful relationship?
Honesty, mutual respect, and thoughtfulness. Were you asking for a funny reason or the genuine ones?
I just wanted a genuine question.
Yeah.
Bring a bit of formality back to these questions.
As you can probably tell, I seem to have gone through a lot of relationships that haven't always worked out, and that's all down to my stuff. But as you know, I've been with my current partner for a number of years, and I have a lot of respect for her, and in some ways I'm terrified of her. So
yeah, I get that.
So I behave because I'm terrified, but I also love both of them a bit, and but basically all the stuff I enjoy doing, she enjoys doing as well. So I'm gonna get sentimental now. Every time we go on a road trip somewhere, it's one of our favorite times because she drives, I navigate, I do the music, we have sweets and drinks, and it's like road trip. So yeah, we love just driving around. Unfortunately, at the moment, we can't drive very far. So we keep getting stopped by the police saying, "Where are you going?" I'm not going anywhere. I'm on a road trip. Would you like a cola cube?
So you just don't know where you can drive at the minute. Like I don't know what's the limits. Where can I go and how far can I go for? Like,
Absolutely.
Not that I don't want to go anywhere, but I want to go for a bike ride and have to drive there.
Yeah. I mean, they won't let me in any car parks in Bath now, so that's out of the question.
There's like a sign up on like the entryway to Bath that says, "Do not admit this man."
with a link to the YouTube clip.
We'll see if we can find that clip, Rob, and we'll post it up on our page.
Thanks. To be fair, I was a lot younger then. I probably looked like that.
All right then, Rob. Now I think it's time. We've asked you a lot of questions, but I think it's time for a few more. As we've already told you,
do I get to talk to the other two at all, Flynn?
You do. You do get to talk to the other two.
This is the bit where I get to talk.
Yeah.
This is the bit where Bronson comes in.
Now it is time for the Mind Melter Challenge.
Wow.
This is what everyone's looking forward to, because this is the bit where I actually speak.
Excellent.
People love me.
It must be very difficult getting a word in edgeways with Flinny.
It is.
Oh, 100%.
It's a nightmare. I don't even know why I do this podcast with him. So the Mind Melter Challenge. What we're going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions. Your chosen subject is friends. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's the first one right already.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is we're going to play some music. You're going to have to look at your own face, and I'm going to ask you some friends questions, and we're going to see how you do. You're going to have 1 minute on the clock. If you don't know the answer, just say pass. And if you do know the answer, then give it to me.
Okay.
All right.
Give it to you.
Oracle, can we get some music, please?
Yeah.
Okay, what was the name of Ross's pet monkey?
Marcel.
Correct. How many episodes of Friends are there in total?
Oh, my lord. 127.
236. What was Monica's nickname when she was a field hockey goalie?
Big fat goalie.
Correct. In season 8, what is the game show called that Joey auditions for?
Pass.
Bamboozled. In season 3,
Of course it was.
which of Joey's sisters does Chandler make out with?
Mary Therese.
Mary Angela.
Oh,
Name
man.
Ross's second wife.
Emily.
Correct. What is Chandler Bing's middle name?
Muriel.
Correct. According to Monica, how many erogenous zones does a woman have?
7.
7, correct. And that is time. That is time. Well done. Impressive.
Thank you.
Let's see. How many did you get right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 correct answers.
Woo.
And by
that
default, you
fiver.
go straight to the top of the leaderboard because you're the first person to do it.
Excellent.
Congratulations.
Well done, Robbo.
Well, thank you, and it's nice to talk to you, Bustle. It's I've talked a lot to Flynn tonight. And,
I've tried to
be
get
honest,
some
I was
words
probably
in, but I just need to cut in more.
I know you have. Yeah, just cut his mic off or something.
Oh, that's a good
It's
idea.
easily done.
I do have control of the sound.
Yeah.
I'm parched. I wish somebody did cut me off. Have
you not got a beverage?
I have. I just had to drink some of it. It was a great time for me to be able to drink.
You're like, God damn, I've got 1 minute to drink.
It's just like, now I need to urinate.
Well, that's why you gave me this show to do, isn't it? So you can get a quick.
This is why
break.
I didn't give it to you. You took it.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever.
You took it.
I don't do
Put
anything
it out
for
there,
this
and
show.
you was like, "I'm having it."
I don't do anything. You plan everything, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever, cool. Okay, whatever you say, Flynn.
Yeah. Flynn does that a lot. I remember we did a variety show at college, and you changed the ending as a surprise for the audience.
I can't remember that at all.
I can.
What did I do?
I don't know. You convinced me to do something that the teachers hadn't asked us to do, and it was really creepy and involved white face paint. And I remember that was the one unit I only got a merit on instead of a distinction. And I'm not bitter about it, and I'm not hanging on to that. And
I don't even know what that was.
I vaguely remember it involved sitting someone on my knee whilst wearing white face paint, and that is as scary as it sounds. And it's probably I probably repressed the memory.
I don't even remember that.
I think we both repressed it. That's a bit of counsellor speak there, repressing memories. So maybe some group therapy needed there.
Yeah, I don't have a clue about that at all.
Yeah.
I can't remember doing that.
As I say, I do have appointments available, Flynn. £40 an hour, and that's mates rates.
Call it a fiver. You've got a deal.
It's one you put in that bucket for the comedy gig.
Well, how do you feel, Robbo? How do you feel after your first podcast?
I to be honest, I've enjoyed it. I felt very relaxed, and thank you all of you for making it be such an enjoyable experience. I'm a little bit worried that I've shared perhaps more than I intended, particularly around some of my youthful sexual experiences in Bath. I think I don't think a job with the Bath Tourist Board is coming up for me anytime soon. There's
to show them all the hot spots.
there's a couple of car parks with blue plaques on them now. So,
All right then, Robert. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast with you. Now, where can we find you on social media?
So I'm on Facebook. Rob Leonard Comedy is my public Facebook page. There's video clips on there, and I normally post on there when there's a gig. So yeah, I do the regular Jolters online, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to get back to doing live comedy in front of an audience, and I cannot wait.
And is there any? Is it the same link each time for the Jolters comedy, or is there a different one each time?
Let's just say that technology and people who live in the forest aren't things that go together very well. I think you're very much the exception rather than the rule. So, as I said, I'm joining that Zoom gig later tonight, and I have no idea how to connect to it. So I'll just keep typing numbers into Zoom until I turn up in someone's meeting.
Well, what we'll do is we'll try and find a link to hopefully their page or something. We'll put that in the description below, along with your Facebook as well. So if you want to check out Rob, have a look down that description below. If you have any questions for Rob or us, or just want to let us know what you think of the podcast, drop a comment down below as well if you're on YouTube, and we'll do our best to get those answered for you. You can find this podcast here on YouTube if you're watching. Also, you can find it on SoundCloud and Spotify. Rob, you can find, as he said, on Facebook. So check him out because he is an absolutely fantastic comedian.
Cheers.
Yeah, thank you
And,
for today.
well,
Thank you, Oracle. It was nice to talk to you.
Yeah, you too.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe.
No, we'll call you up after this without Flynn, so we can just have a conversation.
Yeah.
What they always do. They always do it.
I got to go to my gig, unfortunately. Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry, that sounded like a
Hide.
brush off, wasn't it?
Hide.
Sorry, I'm washing my hair.
No, thank you so much for coming on. This has been a fantastic podcast. It's been so funny. I'm definitely going to come see you live when shows are back going, and I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome,
Thank you so
thank you.
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
All right, to our
Goodbye,
boys.
everybody.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Yep, see you next
This
week.
is session 3.
Peace. Session 4, motherfucker.
Session 4. Session 4.
Yeah, we'll cut that out.
One love.
Uno love, amigos.
No, bye.
Adios.
I shall.